Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, The World According to Masih, where I explore global events through unfiltered conversations with outstanding change makers. My guest today is my brother in arms, Leopoldo Lopez, one of the opposition leaders from Venezuela. Leopoldo was elected as a mayor of Caracas in 2000. And he became so popular that the Maduro's regime banned him from running in elections. He founded his own political party, Voluntas Populares, to mobilize the people of Venezuela against the entire regime. In 2014, Leopoldo was arrested and jailed by the Maduro's regime to silence him. He spent nearly 4 years in solitary confinement and another 2 years under house arrest before being freed by defecting members of the armed forces during the 2019 uprising in Venezuela. Leopoldo took refuge in the Spanish embassy, where he stayed for 1 year before he could escape to Colombia, and from Colombia to Spain. Now he lives in Madrid, beautiful city. Currently, Leopoldo is the Secretary General of World Liberty Congress, an organization that we found together alongside Garry Kasparov, the opposition from Russia, to unite dissidents from around the world. We united the dissidents, the leaders of pro-democracy movement from 60 authoritarian regimes. Do not miss this conversation. Today, I heard Maduro actually said that if America invaded Venezuela, he's going to kill you.
Oh, I think that's what Maduro is. Maduro is a thug. Prison was a really intense psychological experience.
Really? Because for me, I was pregnant when I was in prison. To be honest, I don't want to go back to prison. 4 years, you were on your own, Leopoldo.
On my own. Me, myself, and I, like the song. Without even a mirror. This is what they do, especially to attack women.
Yes.
Especially to attack women. Men, they are attacked in many different ways.
Yeah, they call you a terrorist,
they call you a terrorist,
traitor,
a spy, member of the CIA, the Mossad, or whatever. But to women, they go for their dignity because lies spread very fast. The cancer that we're fighting against is the dictatorship.
Yes.
We cannot take the weight of the guilt of the way in which society is becoming divided, the way in which people are swallowing fake news, lies, and hatred.
And you make that anger, as I said, to a movement, World Liberty Congress. You bring the dissidents now from 56 authoritarian regimes together. You are addicted to your mobile phone?
I mean, don't say that because that's what Lilian says. And I am not. And I actually have a very moderate daily usage of my phone. And I actually do it because I need to set the example for my kids.
We will bring your amazing wife, Lilian, who did a great job to take you out from prison. But today is your day.
It's my birthday?
No. I think it's kind of going to be your birthday because anytime when you manage to make dictator of your country, Nicolas Maduro, angry, it gives you energy. Today, I heard Maduro actually said that if America invaded Venezuela, he's going to kill you.
Oh, I think that's what Maduro is. Maduro is a thug. Maduro is a dictator. And most of all, Maduro is responsible for the disaster that we are living in Venezuela. And I am very calm to tell the world that yes, every day I wake up to figure out what's a way that I can contribute to get Maduro out of power.
And you have no fear of being the target of the person literally saying to the camera everywhere, I will kill Leopoldo Lopez. Have you ever had the fear of going in the street and thinking that maybe someone is following me in Madrid, in Berlin? Have you had this?
We live with that reality. You live with that reality too. You make choices in life. You make choices. And I think that when you're confronting a dictator, and I truly believe this, if you fall for their threats and their fear, you lose. And this is what I lived in prison. For me, prison was a really intense psychological experience.
Really? Because for me, I was pregnant when I was in prison. To be honest, I don't want to go back to prison. I never even talk about this.
I don't think anybody wants to go back to prison, but that doesn't mean that prison is not an experience that you can learn from. And I learned from prison. First of all, in my case, I was in solitary confinement, so I learned how to be alone. I learned how to be myself.
For how long?
In total, it was 7 years. In solitary confinement, 4 years.
4 years? You were on your own, Leopoldo.
On my own. Me, myself, and I, like the song. Without even a mirror. So it's not like you and the reflection of you.
Yeah. This is the Turkish prison. There are like multiple mirrors that they make you to see your entire, like all over the prison is full of mirror. So you're there, and then there are a lot of, like fear, like trying to torture you. In your case, dictator put you there 4 years on your own, without mirror, without books.
At some point I did have books, and then they took the books away from me. At some points I had paper, and I could write, or pens, or at some point I was able to draw. But then they took all of that away from me. At some point it was just me and in a small room with nothing. Then I had the Bible, and I read the Bible, the entire Bible.
You did?
It was a great experience. And when I had books, I would read books desperately. I actually lost my eyesight because there was no good lighting, and my eyesight was very affected. But yes, prison can break you, or it can make you stronger.
What actually inside the prison gave you hope, like, I'm going to see the light. I'm going to see my family. I'm going to see my daughter. I'm going to see my...
Well, many things gave me hope. I mean, my wife gave me hope. My kids gave me hope. My parents gave me hope. My country, the reason why I was fighting. Being a political prisoner is different than being a regular prisoner, because you have no crime to repent from. So if you're a political prisoner, you are really faced with the reason why you are there. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to be in prison?
Everyday
for me,
questions.
It was well worth it, because I knew that us being in prison was a way of showing the world and Venezuela that we were no longer in democracy. Because in 2014, when I was sent to prison, the Venezuelan people and people looking at Venezuela from outside thought that Venezuela was still a democracy, a decaying democracy, but a democracy. After 2014, that changed. And that was our contribution, a contribution about what type of problem we were facing.
When I saw your picture bringing like how many people in the street?
Well, the day I turned myself in, because I turned myself in, it was like 500,000 people or more.
That was the dream of us from Iran, watching Venezuela in the streets full of people. And I saw your speech. You were there. I was like, this is the dream, to have a leader lead the entire population who is asking for secular democracy. My brother was in prison. It's not easy to have a political prisoner. Your wife was loud outside the prison, naming you, calling you, and meeting with a lot of leaders. So I know that the love of your life helped you a lot, but I really want you to talk about the struggle, because I want people to understand that it's not like, okay, my wife is strong, I am strong, everything is easy. It's not, Leopoldo.
No, it's not. I'm not saying it's easy.
Tell me about the struggle, about your wife, like every single day campaigning for you and your, like
my
being
kids,
accused.
My kids, I had 2 kids at the time. Manuela was 4. Leo was only 1 year old.
Oh, you had only 2 kids by then?
At the time.
Okay.
Then
you want to share that you made another kid from prison?
Well, we insisted and advocated to have a conjugal visit. So the regime gave us a conjugal visit, and we knew that they had placed microphones and cameras.
But you didn't care.
And I told her, I said, I want another kid. And she said, you're serving a 14-year sentence. And I said, well, but this is the time. So Mother's Day of 2017,
No way.
It was a Sunday, and they gave us a conjugal visit. And that's when the magic happened. You know, she was in the right days of the month, and you know, it happened, and it's a miracle. Now Federica is 7 years old, and
it's a gift.
Well, it's a gift, and it's my best protest of all of the protests that
The
I've
most
organized.
non-violence.
The most non-violent protest of all. It's my daughter.
That's beautiful. She knows the story.
She's only 7, but she'll know the
Federico,
story.
I'm going to tell you later. But that's beautiful. Still, you're talking about hope, resistance. The struggle is beyond that, because I know that how dictators try to break you. Your amazing wife, Lilian, who I have so much respect for, labeling like sexual humiliation. Recently, I talked to Svetlana, the president, the Belarusian president, I call her president, who actually defeated the dictator in Belarus. And she said to me something which immediately reminded me of your story as well. And that's why I want you to share this here. She said that when her husband was in prison, her husband's crime was just running for presidential election. And dictator arrested him in Belarus. Immediately, she, as a housewife, decided to run for presidency. And dictator went to prison telling her husband that your wife is pregnant with another man. And we both know that this is the tactic of dictator. But I really want you to share the story that how your wife being under attack because of simply loving you and campaigning for your freedom.
Well, I mean, it got very nasty at one point. My wife had to go to a clinic once, and they took a picture of her in the clinic before or after surgery. She had a minor surgery. And then the regime took that picture and they posted that my wife had to go to a clinic to have an abortion.
No way.
And then they have
So you were in prison?
Yes.
So they were saying basically that she had the baby of other men?
Yeah. And this was on national TV.
National TV.
Yeah.
Same story in Iran. National TV saying that Masih Alinejad was raped by 3 men. Big lie. But national TV. So they were saying that Lilian had the baby of, like, who? Like,
well, they created this campaign that Lilian was having an affair with Marco Rubio. Imagine. And,
Marco Rubio.
Actually, they are pushing this campaign now with like AI. I laugh about it, you know. And Lilian and I, we laugh about it. It's,
wow.
But that's what dictators do.
My brother, I have to say that you said you laugh about it, but dictators.
I know.
Dictators are using AI, and a lot of people get scared. Honor killings.
Yes, I know. This is
Teach
true,
your tactic to the youth.
But you cannot. You need to administer your the way you channel your energy, your love, and your resentment. And I believe that being target of smear campaigns like you have. I mean, they say everything about you. They say anything about me. So if you get connected with those campaigns, you lose and they win. They win. So, you know, they say everything. They accuse me of everything in Venezuela.
No, I'm talking about the video. You literally see the video with Lilian and laugh when they say that your wife is with Marco Rubio.
We were just in the car. I was just showing. I was showing it to you, and I was laughing. Look at this. I was showing it to you. I was laughing.
No, I
was saying, look at these idiots trying to do this.
Unbelievable.
And I mean, there might be people that believe whatever they want to believe. I mean, some people are easy to. Throw trash and they believe it. But
have you ever met Marco Rubio or Lilian?
Of course.
And then did you share the story where they're like showing the video? I said, it's unbelievable. This is how dictators' playbook work. Yeah. Because they did the same picture with me and Secretary Pompeo.
Yeah, and as you say, it happened with Svetlana. I have talked to many like African women. You know what's interesting about this? What I have found is that this is what they do, especially to attack women.
Yes.
Especially to attack women. Men, they are attacked in many different ways.
Yeah, they call you a terrorist,
a
traitor,
a spy, member of the CIA, the Mossad, or whatever. But to women, they go for their dignity. And they try to accuse them of just sexual issues and things that would even create discomfort, not just for the women themselves, but for the people around them, because lies spread very fast. Yeah. So
True. But your wife, Lilian, is phenomenal. She laughs at the jokes. You laugh. You together, you actually mock dictators for using AI or weaponizing AI against you. But Leopoldo, there are a lot of women, because you mentioned, so I have to talk about it. A lot of women in Afghanistan, they really told me that they deactivated themselves from social media because they get...
Absolutely. But in Iran, Afghanistan, and everywhere.
Africa, a lot of...
in Venezuela, many people decide to deactivate themselves. Not just women, men. That's what dictators, they have this machinery where they invest a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of technology, in order not just to accuse people, but for people to break.
Exactly.
And leaving the engagement of actively communicating is one way of you losing, dictators winning. It's not just people thinking that what they are saying is truth. It's changing your behavior. So for me, you were asking, are you afraid or not? For me, if I'm afraid, I lose. If I'm paranoid, I lose. If I believe the lies or I deactivate myself, I lose. And I don't like to kneel to the dictators in any terrain, in anything. So you need to have the attitude. And that's what, I always talk to my friends that are fighting against dictators, of course, in Venezuela. But now, since we are engaged in the World Liberty Congress, we might be one of the people in the world that know as friends more people who are fighting against dictators. So we can talk about this with a lot of knowledge. And you cannot let your internal, because, I was in solitary confinement for 4 years. One of the lessons I learned is that at the end, they can take away what you eat, what you read, when you see the sunlight, when you see your lawyer, your family. But the one thing or two things they can never take away from you is your heart and your soul. And you need to be the owner, the captain of your soul, as the poem goes. You need to be the sole owner of that intimate space that no matter what they do, no matter what they take from you, it's your own. And you need to be very jealous about that. You need to be very confident about the way you have ownership of your own being, of your own individuality. Well, it's not, but fighting against dictators is not easy. And if you are not strong, they have an easier terrain to defeat you, because the first terrain is your head and your soul. And I have seen how dictatorship makes people bad people. I have seen it. I have seen how they inflict fear. I have seen how some of my friends that were gladiators, that they were like really committed to the fight, that they even went to prison, that they did hunger strikes. And then they came out and dictatorship broke them. And they flip sides.
And you can see another version of dictatorship in those who were trying to fight against dictatorship.
Yes.
Wow.
No, it's incredible.
Same story in Iran as well.
And you see how people change behaviors, what they think, what they say. I can always look at them at the eye and say, hey, man, you know that's not who you are. I know your true self. And
you mean like they are forced to do it? Because, listen, Leopoldo, in Iran, I've seen myself with my eyes that freedom fighters, powerful freedom fighters, family members of the victims, go on state television denouncing other freedom fighters, denouncing the campaign for freedom, denouncing themselves. So this is false confession. Are you talking about being forced to do it or turning them into another
you have different levels, right? I mean, you have people who are forced by torture to do that. We have seen that in Venezuela. They detain people, they drug them, and then they put them in front of a camera to say whatever the regime wants to say. That happens all the time in Venezuela. I'm sure it happens in Iran as well. But then you have others that is more subtle. The behavior is that they buy the comfort of not being persecuted by the regime. They buy the comfort of staying at their home, staying in the country, and they have to pay a price for that. And the price they pay is that they change their political views, that they change their opinions, that they start attacking.
Not everyone is as strong as you and other leaders to stand up against torture. Tell me about torture, because I saw... Now we are in Berlin, the city of freedom, the city of hope. We were walking together both in front of the Berlin Wall. And then immediately when you saw the prison where the Nazi were like torturing people, you saw the place and you, for a second, I saw that you were quiet and thinking. What was in your mind? You've been tortured yourself.
Well, you know what was in my mind?
Yes.
My great-grandfather. Because my great-grandfather was also a political prisoner, also went into exile and died in exile, was never able to go back to Venezuela. And I grew up with his story. So I, for some reason, the first thing that came to my mind was his story, because we were in a way looking at something historical. And for me, that story was historical. But the second thought that came to my mind is a positive one. I said, well, here in Berlin, they made a museum of this.
People were walking
People
around.
are walking to understand that there is a never again for this to happen. And we have a commitment to make the prisons in Venezuela museums for human rights, to make them spaces that are constructive, to teach and promote freedom, democracy, human rights in a way that I hope would be very creative. So,
so you had the hope of making the entire prison in Venezuela.
I've always talked about it, and I always talk about it.
That's a dream of millions of people living under authoritarian regimes. And we both know very well through our organization, which we will get there to talk about World Liberty Congress, that now there are more than 1 million political prisoners living under authoritarian regimes, under torture, being now tortured while we're talking about this. And we both have the same dream. But I want to take you back to your childhood. You mentioned a little bit about your family background. But I know that, when I compare to my family background, my parents were educating me to say, death to America. Your parents actually sent you to prestigious university, college here in America. Tell me how that shaped your character to be an activist, because I know you were a great leader in campus as well. Tell me about the college. Tell me your experience about all the nasty things as well. Share the details with me.
I go back a bit because, as I told you, my great-grandfather was sent to prison. So my great-grandmother, who was the matriarch of our family, she had to leave the country with 7 kids.
Wow.
With nothing.
To where?
She went to New York. It was 1920s, and from nothing she started. She put together a small hotel, and my grandfather and his brother went to Columbia University.
Your family, they have a big tie with the first president of Venezuela.
Well, with the first president of Venezuela from my mother's side, also with Simón Bolívar.
Simón Bolívar's sister.
And with my family has been from both my father and my mother's side.
Politically active, and
they've always been very involved and actively involved. So they went to my grandmother was able to send her kids to Columbia University, to MIT. So education was always very present in
the key things in your family.
Then my father went to Columbia University. Then I had the opportunity. I went to college in the U.S. I went to Harvard to do my graduate studies, but I never even crossed my mind wanted to stay in the United States.
Really?
Never. I always wanted to graduate and go back to Venezuela. And that's what I did. I went back. I worked at the oil industry as an economist. It was a great job. I really enjoyed it. It taught me a lot about Venezuela, about our country, our culture, our history.
So you decided to go back to Venezuela. So what then shaped you to be an activist or a troublemaker for Dictator?
Well, I had a lot of time to think about this when I was in prison. I did something that's called the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius. We can have that conversation.
I'm happy to hear that.
As a Catholic, it was a great moment spiritually. It was the most intense spiritual moment of my life when I was in prison. I actually did a 28-day hunger strike, and it was very, very strong. So part of what you do is kind of going back in your life to see, what were the things that shape your beliefs. Yeah. And, I had a lot of time to think about why I wanted to become a public servant, because that's the thing that I wanted to do. And without a doubt, it was seeing the inequality in my country. As you say, I come from a family that gave me opportunities. You don't choose where you're born. I am blessed to have been born with great parents. You know my parents, my mother.
I love them. I really want to interview your mother first.
That would be
She's a
great.
phenomenal woman. She's an amazing advocate, not for you, for political prisoners.
Yes.
She's the mothers of 1 million political prisoners. Oh my God, I'm going to forget about you now because you have to meet Leopoldo Lopez's mother. She's phenomenal. Tell me.
So I am blessed for all of that. But being a kid, I was exposed to the inequality of my country, which is not as stark as it is now. Now, Venezuela is one of the most unequal societies in the world, with a very rich, super rich, and 95% of the country very poor. So that's something that always caught my attention and wanted me to figure out ways in which I can contribute to improve the well-being of the people in my country. The second reason is that I grew up in a family where we were always talking about Venezuela. Venezuela in all shapes and colors.
You still do to your kids as well.
Yeah, my grandfather was agricultural engineer, actually the first agricultural engineer in Venezuela. And so he was always talking about the trees, about the soil, about the potential. You know,
I get emotional.
We would go around the country and he would, test me. So what's trees? He said, it's a man. What other tree? That's an araguaney. That's an avocado tree. And we would talk about the economy. We would talk about the history. We would talk about politics. We would talk about geopolitics. We would talk always about the potential that we had as a country. So that, in a way, shaped me. I don't remember wanting to be something different than a public servant. Actually, there
Tell
was...
me. Be honest.
There was... I must have been around like 9 years old. And my grandfather, he asked me, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be an astronaut. And he laughed and he said, well, I don't think Venezuela is going to put a spaceship in your lifetime. So,
and then shifting from that to be an amazing leader, Leopoldo, when you give a talk, I listen to your TED Talk and I still get inspired that I want to do a revolution right now when I listen to your talk. Where did that, tell me. It's coming from your mother, your father, your anger, what is about. When you talk, you put your heart out there. And I really want to know that when you go on a stage, you really don't have any script because you just talk non-stop.
You mentioned the...
non-stop.
I have to tell you the story of my grandfather. I'll say it very quickly. He said, so you might not be an astronaut, but he said this. He said, it doesn't matter what you do. And he gave me this example. You can be a street sweeper or you can be a physical engineer. But no matter what you do, you need to be the best version of yourself. When I was mayor, remembering what my grandfather said, I created the Street Sweepers Day. And that was one of my favorite days of the entire year because these were the more humble public servants in the city. And it was beautiful to see them with their suits, with their family, receiving a recognition. So that's part of growing up. But now that you ask me about like the script, I gave a TED Talk. You should, whoever's listening to this, you should see a TED Talk. It's good.
It's just unbelievable. Like, you didn't have a script.
Well, so I prepared.
Because TED Talkers, they're really strict.
Yeah, they're really strict, and then you prepare. So I did a dry run the first day, right? So I always like talking to people. So I go backstage, and the guy that was like doing all of the things with his microphones and everything, he had a laptop. He helped me with some slides. And I came out, I gave the word, I couldn't speak, it was terrible. It was the dry
Your TED Talk?
It was the dry run.
No, I saw the TED Talk.
Yeah, I know. It was the dry run. And it
You're
was
talking about the rehearsal.
The rehearsal, yeah.
Okay.
It was so bad, And then I tried twice and then they said, just come out of downstage, good luck tomorrow, basically. And the guy said to me, he said, don't worry. In my experience doing TED Talks for 18 years, the best TED Talks are the people that screw up during the rehearsal.
Really?
So that gave me, good confidence.
Gave you good hope. No, you always.
I came out and it came out well.
I'm telling you, when you were talking about the dictators in my country, I was like, Leopoldo is like talking my heart. When you were talking about the dictators in Russia, in China, you were talking about the experience that I lived. So that's why I want to say that. You're really good at campaigning. You're really good at mobilizing people. And when you served as a mayor from 2000, yeah?
2000 to 2008.
2008. So you were campaigning. What was your tactic? Because when I see you walking in the street in New York, I saw you.
My first campaign, you know what I did? I was the underdog, complete underdog. I had studied for almost 10 years in the US and I came back and I was teaching economics and I was working at the oil industry. Chavez came to power. And then I ran and I was the underdog. 7 candidates.
Yes.
I started with 2%.
Wow.
What I did is I said, I am just going to shake as many hands as I can. So I would wake up, I'm an early bird, but I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I was chasing for traffic. And at the time there was a lot of traffic.
To go and shake hands?
Yeah, to go and shake hands. And I would go with that pamphlet.
Yeah.
And I was craving for big traffic. So I would stay at the light and every car that would come in, hey, my name is Leopoldo, I want to be your mayor, give me my smile, put in my
No
mobile
way.
phone. And I did that, every single day after when there was no
traffic. I saw some
traffic.
part of it in New York. There was no campaign, but you were really talking to people. And then it comes up, the people were like chanting the slogan in the city of New York. I was like, Viva Venezuela.
Venezuela libre.
I love that.
My son, because we meet Venezuelans. We are 10 million Venezuelans. I mean, this is, one of the symptoms of the tragedy of the destruction of my country is that one third of the population. How many people live in Iran?
80 million.
So imagine if 25 million of the 80 million live in 10 years. That's what happened in Venezuela. 10 million people have left our country in the past 10 years. Wow. So I find Venezuelans everywhere I go. And especially, in Spain, there are many. So every time I see a Venezuela, hey, Leopoldo, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo está la vaina? So I talk to them and I always ask them the same questions. How are you? Where are you from? When did you come out of Venezuela? How did you come out?
Saw that.
What are you doing here? And then my son, who's a sharp kid, he asked me, so, why do you ask always the same questions? And I said, because if I ask many people the same question, then I have an idea of an entire population. Wow. So if I ask the same question, and that's how statistics works, that's how, opinion polls work. So now, he goes around and I tell him, if you go into a taxi, if you're talking to if you are in any position to a waiter, to anybody, ask questions, ask them about them, and you will feel that they will open up. I
love this energy.
Yeah, the people open up.
I love it because people, my husband, think that I'm like, there's a machine inside me that people should, honestly, because I never get tired. I talk to strangers. I talk to every single person that I see, like, even they're not Iranian. I say hi to everyone. And then my husband thought that I'm crazy until the day he met you. We were like in the elevator. You say, hello. And Kambi's was like, oh no, that's too much. I said, that's why I said Leopoldo is my brother in arms. So tell me that why dictator, why Maduro was scared of you when you were running for?
Well, it was first Chavez, actually.
Oh, yes, sorry.
It was Chavez because at the time when I was mayor, I became the only person that had more popularity than Chavez, at least in the metropolitan area. Then I was running to become the governor of the entire metropolitan area, and then they disqualified me.
Tell me why.
They invented a case, and it was a case that they actually prosecuted me for paying teachers and the firemen of the municipality. I remember talking to the Comptroller General, and I said, but in your own report, there is not a single penny that was lost. And he said, I know. I said, and you're still disqualifying me for 15 years to run for office? He said, yes. So I was not able to run. And it was tough because if you're a politician, what's the way forward? You say, okay, I run for local office, then I go to regional office, and then I run for and then you run for president. So I was, kind of doing everything. I was building up, and but all of a sudden, and I had a team. The most important thing that I had built for 8 years when I was mayor was my team. A team of people that changed the city. We built schools. We built a healthcare system. We made our city, our part of the city, the safest in Caracas at the time. That was the most dangerous city in the world. I brought Bill Bratton, who used to be the police commissioner of New York City, to be our
Caracas.
advisor. We did programs for the elderly. We did programs for the kid. We did math Olympics.
So the whole, like the path.
And I had a team, people that were experts in education, in health, in security, in budgeting, in planning, in legal. And then when they disqualified me, they cut the wings of that entire team. It was a big blow. It was a big blow. So I had to reinvent myself. It was not the first time and not the last time that I had to completely reinvent myself. So I decided that I was going to start all over, that I was going to build
Many times you
movement.
did that. Many times you did that. But tell me about the moment that you really found out when you protest, when you actually call people, you, your team, the entire opposition, when you call people, come to the street. Tell me about that, because a lot of time we do this, people are in the street, we support the movement, and then the dictators killing them. Tell me about your feeling. The moment that you see people in the street, because you were there with people, and you see with your own eyes that you're supporting the demonstration, but dictators are killing them.
Well, I think it's first you need to be very honest. When you call people to the streets, you need to put agency in people. People are not dumb. People are not ignorant.
You yourself
people
were in
know.
the street as well.
Yeah, I was. Oh, and I would always tell the people in my movement, if I call the people to the streets, I'll be in the first line.
You were there,
and I'm always in the first line.
Yeah, but at the same.
And when there was a threat against me, and I had told the people from my movement, it's very probable that they will take us to prison. And I want to tell all of you, and this is December of 2013, before they imprisoned me, I said, if this happens, I would want you to continue, but I will be on the front line and I won't leave my country. So I think you need to be very clear, open, honest, telling people that, yes, there are risks, because you are not protesting in Berlin or in Madrid or in New York. You are protesting in countries where the regimes are using the weapons of the people against the people. And it's, of course, very hard. Many people have died right next to me. Carlos Mendoza, a good friend of mine, died in one of the murder attempts that happened to me in 2007. I had several murder attempts, and many young people that were protesting in the streets were shot and killed by the regime.
They try to blame you a lot, Leopoldo. I keep hearing that, not only from Nicolas Maduro. Can someone please listen to his voice? He's really angry with you. When he even named you, he wants to kill you with his own hands. That's for sure when I hear his voice about you. But at the same time, dictators are really good at dividing their own opposition.
Absolutely.
So forget about what you make Maduro angry. This is the new birth for you as well. Because I know that when you become like a nightmare for them, that means that you're doing a great job. But how do you feel when Maduro divide the opposition to fight against each other? In my country, this is the case. In Belarus, I heard this is the case. In Russia, this is the case. Dictators are copying each other, following each other's path. How do you feel when you see they get successful, when some of the opposition repeat the same narrative of dictators?
Well,
be honest with me, because it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It's frustrating. But once you understand that it's a pattern, you can live with it, because, as you say, it's not only happening in those countries that you mentioned. I don't know a single country that is autocratic where that does not happen. It happens everywhere. So how do you deal with that? Well, some people are going to fall for the lies of the dictators. And I have seen that. I have even seen it with people who are close, that they believe the lies of the dictators. I am sure that has happened to you. Even family members end up believing the lies of the dictators.
It happened to you as well?
Of course.
Family member?
Yes.
Family member.
Yeah. So it happens, and they doubt because you are confronting a machinery that you cannot fight against, in the sense that you cannot I'm going to repost my truth to that lie. I mean, there's no way you can confront the massive attacks that we receive. And I have been at the center of the smear campaigns of the regime for more than a decade, for more than 15 years. So some people will chew those lies and swallow them. I don't blame them. But
you're right.
but you do have agency in the way you react.
You react, exactly.
So
how do you? Let me ask a specific question. I watched my own sister disowning me publicly, like state television. I remember the details of the day that I was watching my sister, and then I was crying because my sister was disowning me, denouncing me, bad-mouthing me. So. And I was watching my sister and crying. And my husband were like, shut down the laptop. Why you're watching your sister and crying? Why are you torturing yourself? And I said, first of all, this is the first time I see my sister in a good quality, because I cannot talk to them through FaceTime. And second of all, it's just, I want to know what's going on. So, and I was really crying. I was really broken that time, because they asked my brother to do the, false confession against me as well. He didn't. So they took him to prison. My sister really believed in the government now, repeating the same thing, because she had agency, as you said. She could have said no, the same way as my brother. But it was difficult for me. So I want to know that, when was the really difficult moment in your life, seeing your family members, your friends, what kind of the tactic of dictators really broke you, Leopoldo? You saw me broken when my brother was in prison.
When they have gone against the dignity of my family. At the beginning we were saying, now we can laugh about those lies, but when they bring your family, my wife, my kids, my mother, they have attacked my mother relentlessly. They have been attacking my mother for years now, and my wife. But thank God, we are very close. And you ask me, how do you deal with that? I tell you how I deal with that. You deal with that in a very simple way.
Tell me.
With a mirror. You look at yourself at the mirror and you ask yourself, who am I? You know the person you're looking at. You know who you are. You know what you did. You know what you did not do. You know what you think.
You make me cry.
And that's for me. That's the way I deal with it. I know who I am. I know I am a good person.
But it's too much. They put pressure on your family because of what you have been doing.
I know.
How do you deal with the guilt, Leopoldo? My mother is on pressure. My sister is under pressure. My brother is under pressure. I want to go to public trial. They arrest your family. They stop you. I want to give voice to political prisoners. They took your family hostage. They go after your daughter. They go after your son. It's not me. It's Svetlana, Maria Corina Machado, you yourself, Edmundo Gonzalez, a lot of leaders from Africa. The guilt. Tell me.
Well,
they put the guilt on you. Oh my God. You became a human rights activist, a leader, a politician to change the life of your own people in Venezuela. But at the end, they say to you that you even turned your own family's life.
But the reality is, and I speak about this a lot too. I talk with Lilian a lot about this. The cancer that we're fighting against is the dictatorship.
Yes.
We cannot take the weight of the guilt of the way in which society is becoming divided, the way in which people are swallowing fake news, lies, and hatred, the destruction of the economy, of the well-being of the people. Also, the root cause is the dictatorship.
The dictatorship.
And it's tough. Yes, it is. But even if they were not our closest circle, one way or another, they were going to be affected. And if people like you or me or millions of others who fight against dictatorships don't do it, nobody will do it, and there won't be change. So
Does it make
change comes at a
price.
cost. It comes with a price.
Freedom is not free.
Yes, freedom is not free. And another thing that, at least for me and my wife too, both of us, that we, at some point we had a conversation. I told her, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. I don't want to be a consultant. I don't want to go and work, in a corporation. This is what I am going to do the rest of my life. I'm going to fight for freedom. Once we achieve freedom in Venezuela, I'm going to work to defend and to strengthen and to deepen the levels of freedom. But this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And you know what? That gives me peace of mind. That gives me purpose.
This is my
goal. That gives me, because you live one life. You live one life. Yes, you live many lives in one life. But if you give a sense of continuation around an idea that links all of the parts of your life, because life has like chapters, right? But if there is one thing that can cross through all of those chapters and give coherence to that, for some people is faith, for some people is their talent as an artist or whatever. Anybody can find their own purpose. But once you find that, and this happiness is not smiling. Many people believe that being happy is just smiling. No, like Nietzsche said, I love the sea and all that is sea-like, but I love it most when it contradicts me. So it's about having a purpose. And I feel blessed and I feel grateful. Not only that I have that purpose, but that I have a family, that I have a group of friends, that I have a movement, now a global movement that shares this dream.
Phenomenal. But what makes you angry, Leopoldo? Because you always have a purpose. People, even they hear your voice now, they understand that.
You know what makes me angry?
What makes you angry? Yeah.
Petty fights. Petty fights.
Tell me more about
infighting amongst your own organization, infighting amongst your movement. You know what makes me sad? The fights amongst the opposition.
Wow.
Because I'm like, hey,
I've never seen you fighting, but I've seen you naming every single leaders, every single opposition from all over the world. That's why I really want to give credit to you. I don't know where that comes from. You're all about unity. You always want to grab like-minded people from everywhere. And I never forget the time when I met you. You were like saying that we have to get together in Miami. It was me, you, Gary Kasparov, 3 of us. And you were talking from your heart that the fight between opposition bothered you a lot. And you said that let's do something to bring all the opposition together. Why you get angry? And you made that anger, as I said, to a movement, World Liberty Congress. You bring the dissidents now from 56 authoritarian regimes together. We did that together. With your anger became a movement. Tell me that why it makes you angry.
Well, that makes me angry. More than angry, it frustrates me.
Frustrate you.
Because you have to invest time, energy in a collateral fight that it's not the main fight. The main fight is the dictatorship. If we all concentrate that the goal is to bring down the dictator, to transition to democracy, but many times, these conflicts take you away from the focus.
Was that the reason, the anger, as I said, was that the reason that you thought about creating a bigger coalition to bring all the opposition from the entire authoritarian regime together?
Not the anger, for sure. It was not the anger.
What was the reason?
No, it's just a vision. The vision that I have seen in my country. That let me go back. It was also reality. I spent 7 years in prison. I escaped from prison. Then I went to the Spanish embassy where I stayed for 1.5 years. Then I escaped my country.
You were, let me tell you, I don't want to interrupt you, but you were successful, Leopoldo. That was the dream of Iranians, to take their embassy back from the Islamic Republic in Germany.
That's with the interim government.
You did that. Like the entire Venezuelan opposition were really successful successful. You yourself, your movement were really, really successful to be recognized by the US government, to be recognized by the European Union, correct? To take the embassy back in Washington, D.C. I never forget the day when you invited us to go to the embassy. I got panic attack. I called Gary Kasparov. Leopoldo is taking us to the Venezuelan embassy. And he was like, yeah, they took the embassy back. I was like, okay, so we are safe. So you were successful. Then what happened? You lost everything.
Well, it cycles, Masih. It cycles. You know, this fight has been, and I've been every single day of the past 26 years fighting this fight. And we've had cycles. We've been, to put it in baseball terms, I don't know how much you follow baseball. We've gone to
Zero.
Well, you know, there you have the home plate, first base, second base, and third base, right? You know that. And then when you score a career is when you go from third base to home, right? You know that much about baseball.
I know that much.
Okay. So we've been in third base many times. But the path from third base to home is not a straight line. And we've been there many times. And it's been a cycle. We've taken millions of people to the streets, not once, but hundreds of times.
Now Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez.
We have gone to elections. We have lost and we have won
the election.
You know, we won the National Assembly. 2/3 we won with Edmundo Gonzalez. We have gone to negotiations with all of the mediators that you can imagine, with the OAS, with the UN, with the Pope, with the Norwegians.
Give me 2 or 3 reasons that you don't have the embassy. You lost you were about to win. I really want to know because a lot of people ask me and you the same question.
No, I will give you, you asked me 3 reasons.
Yes.
You know, the first reason was COVID. COVID changed everything because we were taking back the streets and then Maduro was the first government or regime, in the case of Maduro, to do complete confinement. It was on March 13th or March 15th, and we had done a massive protest on March 13th of 2020. So that changed everything. It changed the world, and of course, it changed the dynamic that we had. The second reason was that that there was some infighting
between the opposition again.
Between different people within the opposition. And now we know because time, shows everything to the sunlight. Now we know.
Because to be honest, now the Venezuelan opposition are the most united opposition now.
But some of the people that at the time were attacking and advocating against the interim government, we now know that they were linked to Maduro and that they are part of the Maduro approach. Now we know that.
That's why when Iranian people were in the street, when I was helping the other opposition group to be united, I was part of the political coalition in Iran. You called me and you said, my sister, are you ready? Dictators are going to divide you. You remember?
Yeah.
Because of the experience that you have faced.
And I also told you that...
Don't forget about the third reason, but you really told me... Go on.
No, and I also told you they are going to divide you and then they're going to blame you.
You said that.
And that's exactly what happened. I don't know anything in detail about Iran, but I know a lot about these dynamics. I know how it works. I know how dictatorships
you said
work. First
they're going to divide you. Second, they're going to blame the opposition about the killings and everything. Yeah. Same path in Venezuela.
And the third reason was that the Biden administration decided an approach of appeasement. The Biden administration decided to negotiate with Maduro for oil. So it was appeasement for oil. The nephews of Maduro had been detained for drug trafficking, not alleged drug trafficking. No.
Yes.
They were caught in Honduras receiving a plane coming from Colombia in coordination with the FARC, a terrorist group, and they were filmed with kilos of cocaine. It's on film.
Yes.
It's not like, they made it up. They were paying an 18-year sentence in the U.S. Biden decided to exchange them. Then the right hand of Maduro was going from Caracas to Tehran. This is the man who was the craftsman of all of the kleptocratic network between Venezuela and Iran.
And
he stopped in Cape Verde. His name is Alex Saab. He was detained in Cape Verde, stayed there for a year. Then he was extradited to the U.S. And Biden signed a presidential pardon for yet another exchange of hostages. So,
which one makes you more angry? When you see President Biden, a democratic country, shaking hand and signing pardon for criminal, or the opposition fighting together?
Well, different levels of frustration, different levels. But of course, it frustrates me and you and any democracy defender in the world to see how democracies shake hands and normalize dictatorship.
Yeah,
and then they try to downplay you.
That you're not divided.
Yeah, you don't understand. You're not united.
President Biden, can you hear Leopoldo Lopez? He is the leader. He united a lot of people together. That's why I ask you, what makes you more angry? Because what makes me more angry, that democratic countries who practice democracy, they actually, when people like your people in Venezuela manage to shake the regime, they go and they shake the hand of the same regime, and then they come back to you and they put the blame on victim and saying that because you don't have a united opposition.
Yeah, or they invent,
that makes me more angry.
Or you don't know enough about this, as if you were a dumb person, like that. I have seen that, many times. But you use the word anger a lot. That's not what I feel, really.
I feel.
And I respect that, and that's okay. But not me,
I am a woman. I've been oppressed for my entire life.
And I understand that. And it's not like I am Gandhi. I'm not trying to tell you like I am a Yogi Gandhi. No. But anger is not what motivates me. Different people are motivated for different things.
Tell me, what motivates you? What is the motivation that you
The motivation that I have is just to see my country freed from dictatorship. And now to see other countries, it's the finish line. I've always been a sportsman, and I'm always very competitive with myself. So what motivates me is to go through the finish line. That's what motivates me. And
but I cannot be like him. I am angry.
Well,
my women are angry. I represent the anger of Iranian women burning their headscarf. I am angry because women, half of the population, are being absolutely
and I understand that.
From everywhere in Afghanistan.
And I don't want to downplay that. And I think that there needs to be also, these are sentiments that need to coexist.
No, I learn a lot from you, my brother.
And you need to, different people are motivated for different things.
Leopoldo, right now, there is another fight between Republican and Democrats. So the right wing and left wing in America, they have fair and free election. When I go to university campus, when I go to different institutions, organizations, universities, as soon as I talk about dictatorship, they suddenly take me involved in their internal fight and say that now America is turning to a dictatorship. Now women's rights in America. Now this. Okay, I don't want to use the word angry because I understand that people have different opinion, but that's not fair to compare what's going on in Iran, in Venezuela, in Russia, in Afghanistan, in Africa, that 1 million women being raped. Like raping women is a tool of dictators to attack on women, to wage war against women. And they say that really like saying, now we have to fight against dictatorship in America.
Well, I hear that. You hear that in many democratic countries. I live in Spain.
Yeah.
So you hear that in the U.S. where you live. I hear that in Spain. Are there? Because the truth is,
yes.
All democracies, I think, now are under great stress. All democracies worldwide. In fact, democracy as a whole has gone from in a permanent decay for the past 2 decades, from 15 years ago, 40% of the population was living under autocracy. Now,
Yes.
70% of the population. So something is going wrong. People are disenchanted with democracy. People are not believing in democracy the way they were believing. We are here in Berlin now. And this morning, we were at the Berlin Wall. And the fall of that wall that we saw and we touched today ignited the imagination of billions of people in the world of what the world was going to look like in 2010, in 2020. Everybody thought that after the fall of that wall, the entire world was going to move towards democracy, that we were going to have a global village, as they used to say, a united world. Well, after 30 years, that did not happen.
No.
And one of the reasons, and I think that people living in democracies, and particularly people leading democracies, need to understand, is that democracy is not delivering to the people. And it's not engaging with the people at an idealistic way. I remember the 1990s. I was in grad school, and it was just all about the potential transformation that democracy was going to bring. Now, democracy is a boring word. Now, democracy is like a broken status quo. It's like the old thing.
It's not that sexy for some of you.
No, it's not. It's not, I'm fighting for democracy.
Yeah.
In many places, that sounds boring.
How many percent of the global population living under authoritarian regimes right now?
5.7 billion people. 5.7 billion people that do not have the rights of most of the people that are listening to this podcast. Because what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to be free to you?
I want to have a normal life, Leopoldo.
What does that mean?
I want to be free to choose my own lifestyle. I want to have a fair and free election. I mean, if I be honest with you, when I hear that people fight against like Trump, I have friends, they're supporting Trump. I have friends, they're supporting Kamala and Biden. And they don't want to see each other, they hate each other. And I tell them, hey.
No, but let's go back to my question.
Yeah, that's my dream, to have election.
What does it mean to be free?
To think freely, to act freely, to listen to music. I'm a woman from Iran. To listen to music, to dance, to show my hair, to practice my basic right, and to say things, not have the fear of being tortured and killed.
So let me put it in another way, what you're saying. To be free is not one thing. To be free, you cannot define as only listening to music or saying what you want to say. To be free is the sum of many things. To be free is to be able to speak your mind, is to be able to meet with whoever you want to meet, is to be able to move around to wherever you want to move around, is to have the freedom to own your own property, is to have the freedom to pray your own God. So being free is not one thing. It's the sum of many things. And a free society is one that allows all of the individuals in that society to be free in all of those chapters of life, in all of those ways in which you can express yourself or do things. So that requires a lot. That requires a lot. I mean, not in every society you can do all of the things that I mentioned.
Exactly.
The only society that you can be truly free is a democratic society. Because the core of democracy is that you elect who governs you, that you are governed by a set of rules that everybody has to abide to in the same way, not because you're a woman or a man or black or white or short or tall or young or old. Everybody has to abide to the same rules by the same, that's the rule of law. And that everybody has their very basic rights respected. That's the core of democracy. And our challenge, your challenge, my challenge, the challenge of the people that believe in these ideas is to make this sexy, attractive, to make it something that many people want to fight for. And you know what I find really interesting? I ask this question all the time to people. What does it mean to you to be free? You know the people that have a really hard time answering this question?
Or people that are living in democracy.
People that live in democracy. I invite the people who are listening to us. Yeah. Do this exercise. Ask people, what does it mean to be free? And you will see that most of the answers are either very spontaneous, like the answers that you gave.
I want to listen to music. I want to dance. I want to have a fair election.
Or then they go very theoretical.
Yeah.
If you ask someone from Iran, from Venezuela, from Cuba, from Uganda, what does it mean to you to be free? In my experience, the way they answer with a personal anecdote. They answer, I want to, meet with whoever I want to meet because,
you're right.
They answer with their own experience. So in my experience, the people who have the most pristine clarity of what does freedom mean and why it's so important to fight for, it's the people that don't have it. And that's what I learned in prison. I really asked myself for years when I was in solitary confinement, well, yes, I'm fighting for freedom and democracy, but what does that mean? What does that really mean? What does it mean to be free? What does it mean to live in a democracy? And it's the only way that once you answer that in a very personal way, that you can be engaged and fight for with enthusiasm and also with creativity.
To make Leopoldo. So we are in Berlin, and now New York. The traffic is crazy because it's UN week in New York. You just came back from United Nations. You gave a talk against Maduro. I listened to your testimony. We see that dictators are backing each other at the United Nations. They are representing our nations, the liars, the killers. And you said 3 reasons that the dictators in your country is still in power. And we both know another reason is that because dictators...
Autocrats work together.
Yeah. So we created World Liberty Congress, where we bring the dissidents to have their own General Assembly. And now you're here in Berlin trying to convince the, democratic countries, because Berlin is actually hosting the dissidents. You're trying to convince now Canada, America, France, Netherlands. Talk to them. Make it sexy, as you said. How would you convince them to listen to our alternative United Nations, to listen to the, dissidents from 56 authoritarian regimes that you united them, and now you're serving as the Secretary General of this organization? Imagine you talking to those governments. How would you convince to the youth? How would you convince them to listen to people in Venezuela being tortured? Because they're going to tell you that this is your problem. MAGA people would say that it's all about America. Left-wing people fantasizing with Islamists and Chavez as well.
Yeah.
So pick your audience, either it's youth or the leaders. How would you convince to listen to dissidents from Africa, from Eastern Europe, from Middle East, from Latin America, from Asia?
Well, I think you're giving the answer. I mean, I think that the best message is to show. You remember that the publicity of Benetton?
What was that?
Just like it showed, it was like in the 1990s, it just showed all colors, a white person, an Asian person, a black person, a brown person like me. It's just like everyone. You just need to show just that this is something that it's not one voice. It's not a woman from Iran that is giving a testimony. It's a woman from Iran, another one from Belarus, another one from Hong Kong, another one from Russia, from Nicaragua. And if you can just show how all of these voices, people with different skin color, religions, background, are giving a testimony of what it means to live in oppression and the hopes to live in freedom, I think that that's the best way that we can appeal of why they need to support. And also, I believe it's very important to always, you always say this too, always underline the fact that Maduro does not represent the Venezuelan people. Those crazy mullahs from Iran do not represent the people from Iran. Putin does not represent the people from Russia, because the people from Russia, Iran, Venezuela, and many other countries do not have the capacity to express themselves.
And not only that, they're not going to just stay there. They're going to infect the rest of the world.
Well, that's what's happening. Look, so you were mentioning about the UN. So yesterday I was in Geneva Geneva
Yes.
at the UN Human Rights Council because they were presenting the case of Venezuela. And the way this works, the fact-finding commission, they present a report. They after the report, then the country replies. They have 4 minutes. And then every country that is
Yes.
sitting there has a minute and a half. And then the NGOs, and that's why I was able to be there, you have also a minute and a half. But 80 countries
Yes.
use that minute and a half. And it's very, very interesting to see how you have the very clear alignment, not around ideology. And this is, I think, one mistake that people in Europe and in the US make, and it's a very deep mistake. They look at the world through the distorted lens of ideology.
Which is
they
not
believe that the world is shaped only around conservatives and liberals,
Fanatic
and
Muslim
left.
in my country has nothing to do with the communist.
What you see in this, at least in this debate, I saw it yesterday.
Yes.
Is that the real alignment is around autocrats and democracies.
You really think that democracies are as united as autocrats?
I think when it comes, and I saw it, and I need to be fair, when it comes to having an opinion about what is happening with respect to the violations of human rights in a country like Venezuela, yes, you see that there is a very coherent position of the European countries, of Japan as a democracy, Canada, the US, the Latin American countries. They were aligned. But then you see the alignment of the evil axis of autocrats.
Russia.
You see Russia, for example. Yesterday, they said, we want to congratulate the Venezuela for giving our global example of how to run an election.
Wow.
Well, how to run an election
where
they lose 70% of the vote and Mundo Gonzalez win. Maduro, with 30% of the vote, declares himself a winner. That's an example from Russia. Then comes the representative from Iran saying, we want to congratulate Venezuela for the human rights record. And then you have the representative of North Korea talking about how Venezuela is also an example for the region. So, and you see, these are, the nationalists from Russia with the communists from North Korea and the theocrats from Iran. Ideologically, they're not aligned, right? You have the most conservative, extreme, the theocrats. You have the nationalists and you have the communists.
They have only one thing in common. Tell me, what is that?
They have in common, a couple of things.
Tell me.
They have in common holding on to power. That's
crushing democracy.
And a
hating
common enemy.
America.
And a common enemy. And the common enemy has two sides. It's democracy and primarily the United States.
Right.
And that's what binds autocrats together. And they work together, they support each other. And when we look at what's happening on the Democratic side, we don't have that level of collaboration. When many times, when people like you, like me, we go and talk to other governments, sometimes it's as if they're making a great effort and doing us a favor just to listen to us. Just to listen to us. It's like, you're not doing us a favor. If you lose democracy worldwide, like it's happening today, like it's been happening over the past 15, 20 years, that cancer is going to infect your own country. And you are seeing that in the Americas and you are seeing that in Europe. So if democracies don't take care and don't promote democracy worldwide, autocracy is going to be knocking at their door and implanting autocratic practices as it's happening now.
It's happening now. Your friend was the target of the Islamic Republic in Madrid, I think.
Yeah, in Madrid.
There is a bounty on your head. You live in Madrid. You don't feel safe there. There are people in our organization from Hong Kong. There is bounty on their head. Women of Afghanistan, 1 million bounty on their head. So Russian activists, Chinese activists being the target of transnational repression on US soil, on European soil. So basically, you say that if the democratic countries do not support the pro-democracy movement to defeat dictators, dictators will ruin democracy everywhere.
And I think that's happening.
Okay.
And I think that's happening. And
let's leave it then there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said that you were tired. From the beginning, you were like back-to-back meeting. I didn't even hear like your voice shaking for a second, my brother.
Yeah, now I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you, Masih. Thank you, and
Leopoldo
congratulations to you, to your work, to your team, to your husband, Candice.
I want to invite you to my beautiful country. I want to introduce my parents, my beautiful mother to you. I want to introduce the beautiful people of Iran to you. And I would love to come to Venezuela one day.
So that's what needs to motivate you. The promised land, Masih. The promised land.